And we are back for another episode of Finding Your Niche with Neish. And I have sitting next to me this dynamic woman whose story continues to unravel and is extremely fascinating. First of all, Suzette Samuel, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I was so excited to talk to you, first of all, because when I first learned about who you were and was in the same environment as you, I couldn't believe how vulnerable and how transparent you are about your story.
Right.
And just in the totality of all the things that you've been through, I was just like, oh my gosh, like.
Did I traumatize you a little bit?
just a little bit, but it kind of inspired me because I'm like, wow, if she was able to kind of overcome all of these things and still like walk around with her head held high, considering all that you've been through, I feel like that's extremely commendable. So I'm definitely wanted to have you on. Okay, so let's just dive in. For the people who may not know you, I'm sure there's plenty of people who do, but for the ones who do not know you, who would you describe yourself to be?
I am a serial entrepreneur. My name is Suzette. I'm from New York. I currently reside in Atlanta. And I'm just me. You want to know what's so crazy? People be like, girl, you so chill. Like, I'm laid back. So, that's just going to be my demeanor. I'm not really too, I'm just laid back and chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just a girl who made it out of my circumstances and was blessed with opportunities and just made something of myself, made a name of myself, didn't let, where I came from or where I've been through, kind of throw me off track.
Yeah. Okay, so you're from, where are you from, part of New York? The Bronx?
The Bronx.
Okay. I'm from Cali, so I like, and your accent is still super thick, by the way. You can't shake it.
I can't, listen, I've been here since 2016, and it's like, I still have the New York demeanor in me.
Oh my, very much so. It's literally like, it exudes. Like, you can kind of tell before you even mention it. It's like, she's somewhere upstate. Yeah, definitely upstate vibe. So do you like Atlanta, though?
I love it. Atlanta changed my life. I kind of left New York for a fresh start. I was just getting into a whole bunch of legal stuff out there and just, sometimes you just gotta know, like, okay, I'm not gonna flourish if I stay here. And it was just one of those situations. And I just picked up, took my kids, came with a little stash. I ain't know what I was gonna come to Atlanta to do. I kind of just was like, you know what, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
'Cause that's been my whole life. So I pretty much had to adapt to every situation I was like thrown into, literally. So I was like,
so making the concerted choice to not become a product of your environment.
Definitely.
You packed up and came. Really?
Girl. I was a huge product of my environment and I was tired. And at the same time, I'm raising little girls, so I really moved to Atlanta to be a square. It didn't kind of turn out like that, but...
Yeah, definitely not. It became the opposite. It became the opposite of a square.
Listen, God's plan, right?
Yeah, so let's kind of talk about that a little bit. Okay. How you actually begin to gain notoriety. Some of the things that you were involved in. Some people do recognize you from being in reality TV. So can you talk about that space? Like, how did you even get introduced into that world, and what was it like for you?
So before I even came to Atlanta, I was in the industry. That's what you want to call it. I did urban modeling.
Okay.
So I was in the magazines. I was heavy in the prison systems.
What do you mean by that?
I was a part of straight
like in and out of jail?
Yeah, no, not me.
Okay.
Like my image, my magazines, the magazines I was in. And then once I realized, like, I have a whole fan base in prison, I started selling calendars and I still get prison mail to this day.
Really?
But yeah, so it really started in New York. Doing music videos, working in the club as a bartender. No, I was not a stripper because everybody think I strip. But I did try stripping. I'm not going to lie. I tried stripping for a week.
What happened?
At Sugar Daddy's in Queens. This was probably 2014, 2015. I don't have the personality of a stripper.
Really?
As a dancer, you gotta, and I don't even like calling them strippers, dancers. Yeah. As a dancer, you gotta like be aggressive. You want this dance, you gotta be in people's face, and that's just not my personality. Like my little week, I was at the bar drinking, sipping, whoever approached me, that's what it was. I had the girls like, girl, you gotta mingle, and I'm just like,
yeah, this ain't for
back
me.
Back then, I don't like talking to people like that.
Yeah.
Like, and I just was like, okay, this ain't for me. I gotta figure something else out. But so it really started in New York. My first video actually was Troy Ave, and that kind of, You know, I had different people reaching out to me, different casting agents, and girl, the rest is history after that. It just
I want to stay on that kind of theme for a little bit because obviously nowadays when most people think about strippers and dancers, they think about their bodies.
Right.
And you've been actually very transparent about having the work done that you've gotten done.
Right.
Can you talk about what motivated you to get, what you said you had a BBL, right?
No.
What'd you get?
So I didn't have a BBL. I didn't have enough fat to have a BBL.
Okay.
So a BBL is when they take the fat out of your body and they inject you with your own fat. So what I did in 2014 was I had got illegal silicone injections.
Okay.
So even before that, I was on birth control and I found that I was pregnant at 4 months.
Oh, wow.
So I was in a situation where I was like leveling my life out, if that makes sense. I went to school when I was fighting a case.
Okay.
Long story. I went and ended up getting a psychology degree, so I was working in the space of like being like a case manager / social worker. And that came from me being in the system as a teen and having my daughter in the shelter.
Okay.
So that's how I got in that space. But girl, so you know, I'm just living life.
Yes.
I'm making money. I'm hustling on the side. I'm working my 9 to 5, and I just find out I'm pregnant. And I'm not just like 6 weeks pregnant, 8 weeks pregnant. I'm 4 months pregnant. So I found out I was pregnant.
Suzette, how do you not know though? 4 months.
Because I was on birth control. I was on Depo. So you know with Depo, your body kind of already
it's already off.
Like you pregnant a little bit, you know. So it was just like I didn't know. I didn't know till I went to get my second shot, and they was like, "We can't give you your shot." And I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "You pregnant?" I'm like, "Ain't no goddamn way." Yeah, I gave you my shot 3 months ago.
Yes.
I'm here for my second shot. But I was pregnant, girl. I was 4 months. So imagine finding out you're pregnant. You find out you having a girl, and you find out you high risk all in the same week.
Oof.
So life just spun like crazy out of control after that point, and it was just my doctor was like, "Listen, you got to be on bed rest."
Oh my God.
You got to be on bed rest, and that actually happened to me with both my pregnancies. So prior to getting in the system, I was raped. So I had to get surgery on my cervix. So they told me that I would never be able to have kids because my cervix would not be strong enough to hold a baby full term.
Wow.
So both my children, they were born full term by the grace of God. Thank you. Hallelujah. Amen.
Yeah.
But I went through complications as far as not being able to move around. You got to stay in bed. You got to do this. You got to do that. And that's what happened. I was 4 months pregnant and had to stay in bed.
Oh my God.
So I had to quit my job. I lost my car. I lost everything. Like everything.
Wow. That's a lot at once.
A lot at one time. You know, and remind you, I just kind of got myself out the situation with my first daughter because I had her in the shelter. So I had to grind my way out of that, get my place, get stable, you know, learn how to work a job because I was in the fast life since I was 16.
Yeah.
So it was just like bada boom, bada bang, but like it was just like boom, 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 boom. So many things happening at one time. So 2014 was kind of when Instagram first started popping.
Yep.
Girl, so I'm depressed and suicidal, you know, just looking at Instagram, and I'm just looking at all these girls making so much money
from their bodies.
From their body. Face looked like, what the hell? But, you know, because they got that shape, they getting paid. And this was like that era where it just sparked. So you was special if you had a fat ass back then.
Right.
Like, it's not like now where everybody got it. Like, this was like the epitome of that era. So I was like, you know what? Mind you, I lost everything.
Wow.
And I was on welfare. I had to go on welfare to pretty much take care of myself and my children. But I ended up meeting a dude at 7 months pregnant, girl. You know, now that I'm over, I just have favor on my life, throughout my life. But as we're going through stuff, we don't see that.
That's true.
Girl, I met a dude at 7 months. I was 7 months pregnant. Met a dude, moved him in. He was paying all my bills. And we actually stood together till I was 2 years old. I mean, till my daughter was 2 years old.
Oh.
And the only reason why we broke up was because he was from Atlanta.
Oh.
He was from Atlanta, but he was going to school in New York. So he was going to medical school. He was working in the hospital. So when he met me, I had my situation. I was always in the house. I couldn't do nothing. That's what he wanted. He wanted the housewife. So once I dropped the baby girl and I hit the pavement running, and I was like, okay, it's time to get this money.
Yeah.
He wasn't with it.
He wasn't with that.
Because his mother and father been together all them years. And
he wanted very traditional.
Yes. Okay. And I was like, that's not me.
Okay, so you're seeing the girls on Instagram, and you're like, they out here getting the whole bag.
Girl, so listen.
And you decide, I want that.
Yeah, let me tell you. So one of my homegirls at the time, she was like getting her body done actively. So I was watching her for like a year, and I was like, okay, nothing happened to her. I did my research. It was supposed to be hydrogel injections.
Okay.
Hydrogel is water-based. our bodies mainly composed of water. So if it's real hydrogel they're using, you're not supposed to have any type of reaction.
Okay.
So I did a couple of rounds. Everything was cool. The more rounds I got, the more I was taking off as far as the industry. The more I was getting booked. And I was the same girl. Because when I came into the industry, I was regular. Like, I was athletic.
Yeah.
I used to play ball. So I had an athletic body. But, in New York, if you ain't Spanish.
Right.
You're not getting looked at. So not only was I not Spanish, I was slim. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't have time. Like, a lot of people be like, oh, you could have went, you could have got a job, you could have did this, you could have did that. I could have, because I had a degree and everything like that. But when you lose everything,
you got to figure out a quick way to make it back.
You got to, and the life just kind of sucked me in after that.
So there was no kind of reservation about, like, God, what about my image? What my daughter think? Like,
no. So
it was like, I have to do this.
Girl, it wasn't even about what my daughter think. First of all, I was in the projects. That's first and foremost. I was living in the projects, and my apartment was so small that when my daughter started walking, she didn't really have room to navigate. Like, she'll finally get the step, and boom, the wall was there.
Oh.
So that made me feel like shit as a parent. Like, yo, I deserve more. My kids deserve more.
Yeah.
Having to wait for them to stop shooting before we come out the crib. It was just a lot. Like, I'm from the Bronx. I'm from New York. Living in the projects. You know how that goes, stepping over the P in the elevator, all of that stuff. So I didn't have an image back then. I was a regular girl.
Okay.
So that wasn't, I had no idea what being in the industry was going to bring. I was just more so focused on, I know I can make this money because I'm watching these girls make this money. And my plan, I had a 5-year plan, because I've always been, business savvy, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew, like, listen, I'm going to start businesses. I'm going to be this entrepreneur. I'm going to break generational curses.
Yeah.
Because I watched my mom have 3 college degrees, work a 9 to 5. And when I was younger, I got into the shit I was into because she was never home. She was always working, and we still was struggling. So in my head, I grew up like, I don't want to be like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even being the job that I had, good paying job. Everybody looked at me like I was crazy when I left to go to Atlanta, but it was just like this. For some people, that would have been good.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm gonna live my life. This is what it's gonna be. But again, I've always had a hustler mentality. So no matter if I had 5 caseloads or 20 caseloads, I got paid the same pay. So whether I was losing sleep one week working on cases or barely having cases, I'm getting the same pay. And I'm like, listen, I need to be getting paid based on how I hustle.
That's true.
And that's what prompted my move to Atlanta, because, at the time, Atlanta was so glorified and highlighted. It's an entrepreneur state, so you could come out here and do what you want to do and just take off. They support you out here. It's not like New York. I got tired of the cold.
Yeah.
I got tired of the hustle and bustle. My childcare loan was $1,000 a month.
Whew.
So I just wanted something new.
Wow.
And I just left, girl.
Okay, so then there was never an aspect to, like, because I thought you were telling the story too once of, like, basically that going wrong, or you ended up being in a coma because of the shots, or?
Okay, so yeah. So my last round, girl.
This was the last one you would have been done.
This was the last round that I was done. So I was done with my butt at this point. I had no hips whatsoever. Again, I was an athlete. So I did 2 rounds on my hips. So this was like the last round. And it's so crazy because her and I had a relationship. Wow. It was one of them things where if you bought her girls, she took money off. So it becomes an addiction. Like, damn, I bought you 5 girls. Okay, I'm not going to have to pay for the next round. And then even with that, like, I was really taking off in the industry.
Much is one round?
Girl, if I could remember, it was maybe like $1,200. Because it's butt so much, they could inject in you at one time. And then you got to do both cheeks, make sure it's symmetrical and stuff like that. So, it was probably... Listen, but my last round, and it's so crazy because everything leading up to me getting on the table that day was signs that I wasn't supposed to do it. But when you so strong-minded and you want what you want, you start to ignore that feeling like, no. But girl, I got sick, and it's so crazy because as she was injecting me, I got sick.
That's crazy.
So she injected me, and I started coughing. But I didn't know where it came from. Yeah. And then after that, within like a week after that, I was in the emergency room maybe like twice. And then the week after that, ambulance had to come get me. And as soon as I got there, I went into a coma for 3 days.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
scary.
Listen, I'm still dealing with it now. Like, I'm still dealing with the decisions I made back then with my body now. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I wanted to ask you, was just like, now when you think about it, hindsight 2020, and you think about it in comparison to like the value that you bring just as a person, outside of what you look like, outside of what your body looks like, and the concept of like self-worth. Has it been difficult for you to see yourself as kind of a worthy person?
No, I've always been confident in who I was. Again, it was a situation I was actively in. So when I got in the industry, I was me.
Yeah.
But I wasn't getting booked. I wasn't making no money. So it's one of them things. And I think, as women, when we got so much on us and we're not getting help from family, we're not getting help from the fathers, your back is against the wall. You know what I mean? And it was just one of them situations where, like I said, I was good prior to finding out I was pregnant. Found out I was pregnant, lost everything. So in my mind, it was like, okay, I got to get this the quickest way I know how without going to jail. So that was my mindset. It never really had nothing to do with my self-worth. It was really me adapting to what was going on in society.
Yeah. So then when you say you're still working through some of the things, some of your choices, I guess, what kind of feelings are attached to that?
Girl, I don't have. If you want to know what's so crazy, I don't regret anything. Like I'm real headstrong, and I'm one of them people that hold myself accountable for the things that I do and say and I experience. And then even now, as I'm walking in my calling and I'm finding my purpose, or I'm finding my niche, I'm realizing that all of this is a part of my story.
Yes.
So it doesn't. And even just as raising girls, like my daughter's 15 now, my oldest, and my youngest is 8. And they're seeing what I'm going through. So I'm teaching them, like, listen, don't touch your body, don't do this, don't do that. Because it's good for the time being. But nobody's thinking about 10 to 15 years down the road, which is where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I'm about 10 years from when I did that. And now I'm dealing with all these complications health-wise because of a decision I made. But I don't regret it. I did my first removal last summer. So last year I found out, I've been sick for a while, but I didn't know it was that. I actually had to go out the country to find out that it was the silicone injections that was affecting me. And I didn't even find out it was silicone until I woke up from my coma. Because again, it was supposed to be hydrogel. That's what I consented to. So that's the thing with these injections. You don't know what they're putting inside your body. They can tell you one thing. I done had a girl, I know one of my homegirls was pumped with shampoo. Like, listen,
oh my God.
It was the quickest get rich scheme, 2014 to 2017, where everybody just was getting these injections. So
back to back.
Yeah, think about it. If you injecting 5 girls a day, people was making 6 figures in 2 months off of doing this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's just
that's
like,
sad.
Yeah, but I went through a lot. Like 2017, woke up, just couldn't walk.
Couldn't walk,
girl. They told me I'll never walk again. Again, God's grace and favor. I found me a personal trainer who specialized in training like athletes with injuries. And so my knees will never be the same per se. And I think that was God's doing too, because around the time I did want to start stripping, I was in Atlanta, I was a bartender. Right. I had dudes like putting money in my hand, like, girl, get on the stage. And I just was like, damn, my knees is fucked up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But that's me being honest and transparent. So I did my first removal last summer. That was very mentally and emotionally draining and financially draining. So I paid $1,200 per round.
So you got to pay to get them in, pay to get them out.
Girl, you got to pay triple, maybe quadruple to get them out. And that's not something like America hasn't caught on to that yet. And I think that's something in the healthcare industry now, as surgery is such a main thing, that we need doctors that specializes in that. Because all these years, the doctor said I was fine. Even though internally I knew I didn't feel right. Like, listen, it doesn't feel normal. This don't feel right. Girl, to this day, my lab's perfect, blood work perfect, everything perfect. I actually just went to a specialist because they're saying that I might have an autoimmune disorder. Wow. Because basically what happens is after a while, the silicone eats at your tissues. So the things that I'm going through is from the silicone just being in my body for so long, and my body is rejecting it. And that's what any surgery, safe or not. I went through the same thing with my implants. They're not going to tell you in a couple of years, 8 to 10 years, you got to get them implants swapped out. So I just had to do that with my implants because I got my first set of implants in 2015. So when I did my MRI for my silicone to see where it had traveled, I found out my right implant was flipped. So if you leave it like that, you're going to start going through problems. So I actually just fixed that in July. That just passed. July 1st, I did my surgery to where I fixed.
Oh my God, it's a lot.
Girl, once you touch your body, it's just always gonna be something.
Maintenance. It's a lot
not
of
even
maintenance.
It's just, if we wasn't born with it, like if it's not your lungs, your heart is not supposed to be there. Mm-hmm. So eventually your body is gonna start ejecting it. And breast surgery is 100% safe, but they don't tell you that it's still a foreign substance in your body. You understand? Yeah. So eventually your body starts to eject that foreign substance, and that's what I was going through also. So I had all these things I was fixing from last year to this year, and I just found out I have to go for another removal surgery that I'm prepping on now. You're the first one to know that publicly.
Wow.
My hip, so I knew eventually I was gonna have to go back, but now my body's ejecting it, and I got something going on right here.
Could you tell, or they had to tell you that?
No, I could tell. I actually contacted my doctor in Colombia, like, it's happening again. Because I'm going through the same symptoms again that prompted the last removal. So that's what I have going on now.
So now when you look in the mirror, what do you think?
Girl, I love myself. I'll be like,
still, in spite of all the stuff?
Yeah. Hell, especially, if anything, I love myself more because I didn't let that drag me down. And you know, some people, I feel like this, you either gonna bounce back from it or you gonna let it hold you captive. And I've never been, like, I've been through so much. I've been through everything you could think of minus being an addict. So if those things didn't break me, you know, and right now I'm in a different space spiritually, like I'm walking with Christ. So it's just different. I go through things with my head held high and a smile on my face. Yeah. You seen me the other day. You wouldn't have known I was going through all of that.
Never.
Like, it's just me. Like, I love who I am in the mirror. I love what I represent. I represent strength, you know, second chances, hope. Yeah. And again, I'm raising my daughters. So I got to show them that no matter what mistakes you make in life, like as long as you wake up the next day and you're breathing, you have a chance to fix it.
I love that too. The other thing that I really would applaud you on is like creating a new narrative for who you are and how people perceive you. And it's hard to do that. Go ahead, take a sip to that, because it's so hard to do that. It's different if somebody's just living regular day life, you know, but it's like when you're on TV and there's a narrative being, you know, perceived about you or displayed about you. Can you talk about that? Because that space is also very popular. You kind of talk about being a video vixen, being in that space of like the go-to girl for stuff like that. But then now you have like this other side of you that is reality TV star Suzette. So it's like, can you talk about maybe what was some of your biggest takeaways from being a part of that world? Let me take a sip too now. So I'm listening.
Woo, let me double sip. Hold on.
What was your biggest takeaway?
Not having the right support system. That was my biggest takeaway. And I say that because, you know, when you was on reality TV, you kind of know what comes with it. But a lot of people go through TV and they feel like, oh, that can't happen to me. You know, like I was one of them people that was reading stuff in the blogs, laughing at people, sending it to my friends, like, hey, you know how it is, you on Shade Room and you see some shit, until I became the person on Shade Room. And now then it's not so funny. Cyberbullied and I'm this and I'm that, and I'm just like, wow. So that even changed my mindset a little bit with the social media, but we're going to get into that. But listen, I didn't have the right people around me at the time. You know, you think when you are with someone that they're supposed to protect, love, and guide you, and I went through the opposite. So I'm really not going to speak too much on that situation, but I mean, it served its purpose. You know, I'm a strong believer of God is going to use people to put you in certain rooms. So whether it was this person, that person, whatever your will is for your life is going to happen, right? So now I'm just more so in a positive mindset, like, okay, that gave me a platform to where people, you know, they might think and whatever, I don't care, y'all can't get me into heaven. So I had to learn how to not really care about the public opinion and really kind of just focus on capitalizing on the moment.
Yeah.
So now I understand, like, you know, when you see certain things going on with some people and you read the comments and they be like, oh, they must, the show must be coming out. I understand that now because I'm not one of them people on reality TV and that's all I have going for myself.
Right.
And I feel like when you're in that cycle, that's how you get lost. And that's how, you know, you really go through the emotions of depression and everything. And I went through that too. But I had my businesses in real life to fall back from.
That's a good point.
So I was able to walk away from that and still be like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't my well-being.
Yeah.
It was an elevating platform. But at the same time, that particular show I was on was not my audience.
Okay.
So it benefited me as far as my name, but I honestly think reputation-wise, it hurt me more than anything. Because again, they only know what was portrayed.
That's true.
You know, so they don't know that I'm helping people in real life. They don't know that just like anybody else, I'm fighting demons in real life and it played on how I reacted to certain situations that I shouldn't have reacted on.
Yeah.
That everybody goes through, but because I'm in the public eye, everybody got something to say. You know, so I kind of just had to learn how to tune that out and ride for myself and get myself through it.
Yeah.
Because when it's times like that, you really see like who have your back, who's for you, or who's in the crowd laughing with you and judging you.
What would you say though? I guess because you know, taking an honest look at what you said, looking at, you know, you didn't get it all right. Sometimes you did miss the mark.
Right.
What kind of work have you done to kind of hold yourself accountable for the things that you could have done differently?
I went and got baptized. Okay, I went and I jumped in that water in May. And it's just like when you have a relationship with God and with Jesus, you know better. So like it's certain things that I did that I regret, and I'm not even gonna say I regret, that I'm sorry for. But I'm not. Instagram doesn't run my life, so I don't have to go on live to issue a public apology. I'm gonna get on my knees and I'm gonna talk to my Father because that's the only person that can hold me accountable for what I did. Nobody else can do nothing to me, for me, none of that.
Yeah.
You know, so with me, it was more so, it made me get more spiritually in tune because it made me realize, you know what, had you had been in your Bible, had you had the right people around you, had you had been focused because you know better, you wouldn't have made those mistakes. But what I did was I was conforming. I was conforming to the fame. I was conforming to who I was with. I was conforming to my environment instead of being the influence in the room. And I suffered because of that. So yeah, like with me, everything is spiritual. Like, oh, trust, I went through the storm because of what I did, and I'm still kind of trying to pull myself out of situations. But you know, when you don't live of this world, and you know,
do you feel like so that is something new? This is a new version.
Yeah.
The godly version is new for people to understand when they see you now.
Right.
So what would you say to people? Because I guess I'm trying to ask, like, do you feel like you are a different person because you've accepted Christ? Do you feel different, or do you feel like every day is like...
No, I definitely feel different because, like I said, I could go through stuff and still have a smile on my face. You know, I got what I going on now, and nobody knew about it. But before, I would have picked up a blunt, would have tried to get high to forget my problems, would have been sleeping with so-and-so and so-and-so just to feel love. Like, I'm celibate.
Wow.
And I'm going to stay that way until marriage.
For real?
Yeah, girl, I got baptized. And it's changing the type of men that I'm courting, because if you're in my life and you're around me, it's because you're really around me for me. So sometimes I sit back like, damn, I should have been did this. Because it would have saved me a lot of, because listen, sex is more than sex, it's soul ties.
Right.
You understand? So even a lot of the people that I was intertwining with sexually, I was depressed, I was this, I was that. Like, you gotta pay attention to the people you're inviting into your space, into your energy, into your body. You know what I'm talking about? So now I'm just a whole different person, girl. I got like so much positive stuff going on that I don't even think about the past. With me, it's just more so like, okay, I got a taste of what that could be. I know the mistakes I made with that, and I'm not gonna do it again. And I'm gonna help women, and some men too. But I'm going to help women. My focal point has always been women, because as a teen mom, you know, even into adulthood, had I had guidance and mentorship, I wouldn't have made the mistakes that I made. Had I had somebody speaking life into me and not death, I wouldn't have made the mistakes that I made. So now it's just more so being that role model and that influence to other women, to my daughters, to other people, so that those same mistakes are not repeated. And girl, that prompted me to start a coaching program launching November 1st.
Hey!
So y'all check that out. Yes.
I love that. But I do want to ask you though, because that's a big thing for some people. A lot of people see people who've, you know, gotten close to God and they see that, wow, this person is a totally different person. What would you say, what would you identify as the isolated moment to where you're like, oh my God, I have to give my life to Christ?
You want to know what's crazy? I was supposed to do that before the reality TV, before my relationship, before all of that. I was supposed to do that in 2019, 2020. So my ex in 2019 held a gun to my head and choked me out. So that's what prompted me, you know, to change my life.
So that moment was like, I need...
Yes. Wow. I went through a deliverance. So a deliverance is where you go. It's kind of like therapy, but it's with the church. And they help you identify your past traumas. And while we're thinking God wasn't there, they help you see why he was. Okay. So I was in a very good space in 2020 prior to my relationship, prior to the reality TV. And I actually made a certain promise before God. And I was like, listen, no more men. I'm going to focus on my word. I'm going to focus on my children. I'm going to focus on my business. Wow. But then I jumped in the first relationship that was presented to me. So what that taught me was a lot of times when we pray, depending on, it's about your heart. Depending on where your heart is at that moment, everybody think like, okay, because I got this, it was God ordained. It's not, because Satan answers prayers too. So I just feel like it was a test for me because I didn't keep my word. And I went through what I went through. I backslid. I went through the depression. I went through the suicidal ideation. Like, I just went through so much, even down to my kids. I wasn't the only one affected. You know? So...
What would be the apology? I guess if there were one, what would be the apology that you would give to your children?
I wouldn't apologize.
You wouldn't apologize for anything? Really?
No. Listen, my kids are like the homies too. Like, they know what's going on. You want to know what's so crazy?
You don't feel like you owe them an apology?
No. This is life, honey. Life is about choices. I made those choices, but guess what? Y'all get to take a look at my life so y'all don't make the same choices. So I'm not going to apologize, but I'm going to build y'all up and I'm going to tell y'all what y'all shouldn't and shouldn't do. Because, see, the thing with kids, and I was one of those kids, you can't tell them. So we could raise a child how we want. They're still going to go their own separate way. But when you have kids that can watch what you go through and go through that with you, it's different. Okay. You know, and I like, my daughter's like, oh, no kids before marriage. Ain't no man leaving me. Sorry, Ma, no offense. Yeah. But I ain't going to be a single parent. You know, it'd be a little shade in how they be talking, but they have freedom of speech with me. Yeah. So we have family meetings where they can sit down and tell me what I'm doing wrong, you know, or what I do they don't like, because my mom didn't do that with me.
So would you say then, you changing your life is the apology ultimately? Is the biggest way that you can express any kind of like,
it's
wow.
It's an apology with me.
Sad.
It's just like, listen, I had y'all and I had to do, because you want to know something? This is some real shit right here. Okay. So my kids have friends that can't afford to come to school with lunch. Okay. You know, one of their nannies couldn't afford an AC in the summertime because she couldn't afford that extra bill. So they are very much aware of underprivileged kids. Yeah. Even like, and what I help them understand, even when we're driving. Wow. I'm like, listen, that's gas, insurance, a note, ain't shit free. Right. My 15-year-old went from, I can't wait till I get 18 to leave out the house, to I'm staying with you till my business is making 6 figures. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like with kids, it's not so much what we tell them. I feel like that's fake, because a lot of times what we say is not what we're modeling and what we're showing them. It's not real. It's no way you can really prep a child for life. They have to go through that experience, and that was my story. Yeah. My mother was the don't do this, don't do that, in church 4 times a week, girl. Got baptized as a child, and as soon as I got outside, I went crazy. All of that stuff she taught me went out the window because of who I was around. So I feel like when you have that firsthand, like, it's not just me going through it. Like my daughter sends me scriptures.
Wow.
My daughter sent me something on Starbucks yesterday, like, oh, because you know they be saying Starbucks is demonic based on what it represents, the symbol and all of that. Oh. She sent me that yesterday.
Wow.
So my kids are very spiritually in tune. And like I said, my first daughter, my oldest, I had her in a shelter. So she really watched me bust my ass regardless of what I had to do, because she knew. She wasn't dumb.
Right.
You know, and that's part of why I had to change my life, because even as a bartender, coming home, dumping my money on the bed, she failing in school, I'm like, what's going on with you? I don't got to go to school. I'm going to be a bartender like you because I make a lot of money. Because you make a lot of money. And I couldn't even get mad. See, parents, we make the mistake of getting mad at our children or disciplining our children when we live in America. It's freedom of speech. I mean, of course, there's a way to say and do certain things, but if your child is talking about what you're modeling in front of them, you can't get mad. So for me, versus getting mad, that was my reality check, like, because we think kids don't pay attention.
Oh, yeah.
Girl, when that little girl told me she don't have to go to school because she's going to work at the bar and bring home money and have men paying her bills, I lost my mind. And not at her, at myself. Yeah. Because it made me realize, you know what? This is the example that I'm setting for my daughter. This is what she's witnessing in real time. So I can't sit here and be like, don't do this and don't do that. And I'm actively living that life. Yeah. I had to show her through my own correction. I had to show her through my own trials, my own tribulations. Her father ain't shit. I had to show her, listen, this is what I got to do to keep the lights on, because I can't call your father for help. I can't call nobody for help. If it don't get done, it's not going to be done. Yeah.
What has that been like, being raising your child, like as a single mom in that sense, like, because I want you to speak to that. When you say that, are you a person who is willing to give second chances? If somebody gets their life together and can change, are you open?
Listen, that's one of the biggest things I had to learn in my journey is forgiveness. And you don't forgive people for them. Forgiveness, it keeps our heart hard. It when you don't forgive people, you live with regret. You live with anger. You wake up thinking hateful thoughts and you just angry about that person. And that person really controls the narrative of how you live in your life. I call it living in your head rent free. So for me, I forgive her. I don't hate nobody. I don't have no ill feelings towards anybody. And again, that's because of the spiritual walk that I'm walking in right now, because you were a season, you were a lesson. Lessons are blessings. You were a trial and tribulation that made me who I am today. You know? And then like I don't look like, if you curse me out right now, I'm not gonna look at it as you. I'm gonna be like, oh, that girl got something on her. I'm gonna go pray for her. Yeah. You understand? The old me though, bitch, who you talking to? Ready to fight. But where's that going to get me? And what I had to learn about toxic people and people that are hurt and people that are suffering is we think cursing them out or getting crazy is affecting them. Yeah. But for the people that's all that know, they're thriving off of that.
Right. They need that.
They need that. So I'm going to kill you with a smile. I'm going to pray for you and I'm going to go about my business. That's the new me.
Yeah, that's the
new me.
But the old you can identify with the idea that hurt people hurt people.
Listen, girl, I done been to jail for beating. Even in Atlanta, like, I done almost lost everything because I had to beat a bitch up real quick. Excuse my language, you know, because I'm so quiet and chill and laid back and people want to pick and play with you. And sometimes you got to show a person, don't play with me. You know how it is working in the club. Like, I had to pretty much set the tone, like, I'm not one of those girls. Don't play with me. But that's the old me. That's the old you. Okay. Now, the new I might rebuke you a little bit, but I'm not even around that. Like, on some real shit. And this is a post I made today, and it's crazy. I don't have nobody in my circle that's toxic that is not uplifting me. I'm so used to being the healer. I'm so used to being the one uplifting people. I'm so used to being the one pouring into people. I don't know what it feels like to have that with me. And as I'm transitioning now, I have that. So I don't even go through the type of stuff I used to go through because I'm not around the same type of people. Yeah. Do you see that? Do you find it to be tempting though? Can you tell moments where it's like, oh, I'm tempted to like? No, girl. Really? I'm at peace.
That's so good.
Listen, I wake up, no drama, no stress. I don't care what I got going on. It's a sense of peace in my heart. When you operating from your heart, life is just different.
Yeah.
And my discernment, I know who ain't right, and I just get away from them. You know, and then later on, I'll be like, oh damn, I'm glad I got away from that person, because it's always something, or it's just always some type of negativity. But no, I don't miss none of that, girl.
Yeah. I want to fast forward because, like you said, the best thing that you can do for your daughters is set a good example for them. So I love how you were able to kind of like take control of your narrative and switch gears and actually make something of yourself and essentially clean up your reputation and do something that is like a give back, right? And so that's something that a lot of people don't think about immediately when they think about you. It's like your capacity to be able to contribute to the community and help to make people's lives better.
And you want to know what's so crazy? Even that was my life before all of this, and that's why I know I'm walking in my purpose. Yeah. Because again, so after I had my daughter in the shelter, that was my first job. I was working at the shelter where I was pregnant at because they saw the type of influence I had over the girls that was there. Okay. So that has just been, and that came from me being in the shelter, me being in the system because I was in a group home. And not having nobody. Like, the people in the group home was my family, was my friends. And that taught me as I got older, I want to be there for people who don't have that. Because luckily, again, by grace and favor, I wasn't in none of them crazy group homes where they getting raped and stabbed. And the most, I might have to, beat somebody up because they don't touch my stuff. Right. And, girls wearing my panties and walking around wearing my shit like I wasn't going to do nothing. That's the most I've been through. But being in that group home, guess what? It taught me how to hustle. Okay. It taught me how to hustle because if I sit here and I braid your hair, I'm getting paid. If you do the dishes, you getting paid. If you sweep the floor, you getting paid. Wow. So I got my first apartment at 18, and I knew that wouldn't have happened had I still been living with my mother. Yeah. So at times we have to not so much look at the bad and kind of look at what we're going through trying to teach us, or how can we capitalize and come above what we are, because we all have hidden talents. We That's all, good. That's good. I'm sure you was a talkative child as a child. Like, you was tired, I was just always talking. And they like, yo, shut up.
Here I am talking.
Yeah. So people just gotta tap into.
That's so good.
Their
So with your work with the shelter, what have you found to be the most rewarding aspects of doing that?
Again, just when people are in these facilities, they have nobody. So you either gonna be the staff member that comes in and clocks out and tunes out. Yeah. Or you're gonna be the staff member that's really there to make a difference and make a person feel loved and make a person feel like they have some type of support. You know what I'm saying? Because it could go one or two ways. I've had staff members that it was just like, I got staff members from the group home that check on me to this day. Wow. To this day, like I actually Impact. Yeah, I actually just got off the phone with one of them. She was actually the one assigned to me in the group home, and she had DM'd me on Facebook and was like, listen, I'm so proud of you. And a couple of girls done reached out to me like, girl, that's you. Wow. What? Like this, because, back then I was a tomboy. I was playing ball, ponytail, short sneakers all day. I was nothing girly about me.
I know. Now it's like when you say that, I'm like, oh, God, that is so hard to believe.
Yeah, girl. Listen, I was, and I had a scholarship to go play basketball. I was like, ball was life back then, and I got pregnant. Wow. So, yeah, sometimes I do think like, okay, where would I be if I didn't get pregnant and I really, went on that scholarship to play ball? Because I was one of them girls, like, I'm going in the NBA. I'm going to the WNBA. Right. Basketball City, New York, I was rocking with the WNBA players at the time. So, I mean, I do think about, okay, this decision didn't go. Even I was trying to join the Army. Wow. Girl, I took the test.
Okay, Sergeant Sue.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you. I took the test, got accepted and everything. I was going to relocate from New York to Miami. This was 2015. Wow. And I got arrested. So that
didn't work out.
And I was like, oh, we don't want you.
But I want to talk to you a little bit too about real estate, right? Because Atlanta's a great place to do that. Yeah. Like you said, everybody's moving here. It's continuing to boom. It's like okay, now it's too many people here. But can you talk about how you got into real estate and how that has changed your life?
Favor, girl, favor. Working in the club.
For real?
I was behind.
I wasn't expecting that.
I'm trying to tell you, like, yo, my life is literally a movie.
I'm in the wrong profession.
I'm writing a book. I'm trying to tell you, but a lot of my come-ups came from me being in the industry. Wow. And if I'm gonna be real, The person that had me under his wing in the industry, he paid for me to go to real estate school.
Wow.
So the industry, I didn't go through like the being slutted out, the things that most industry, like I wasn't in the blogs for dealing with this rap or this, because I had that one person that made sure, no, you ain't gonna be one of them girls because I see something in you. Because I didn't like, and it was so real because when I got presented to be under him, I had just came from robbing a nigga and ran to his crib.
Wow.
And he's like, Sue. And I'm just like, yo, I gotta pay these bills. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. And he just was like, yo, you so much better than that. And he was like, no.
How does it feel? How does it feel to know somebody that believed in you more than you believed in yourself? What does that person mean to you?
It's a blessing. You know, unfortunately, the person is not here anymore. They passed away. Wow. But again, favor. You know, and this comes with discernment. You got to know how to decipher the people that God put in your life. Yeah. And you got to know how to decipher the people that Satan put in your life. You know, and once you learn how to sharpen that discernment and you trying to figure out your path, it's going to happen. Wow. But I didn't like, listen. When
you think about, because I'm really big on advice and tools and just like messaging, right? So what would you say is the one thing that person literally imparted into you that you'll never forget?
You ain't them. Like, don't get caught up in the industry hype, because everybody knew my name. You understand? Like, I'm getting checks from prison. Like, these dudes are sending me their commissary checks from my magazines, for my pictures. But even with that, it just got to a point where I was like, I want more than this. And that's how I got into real estate. So back to your question, I was at the bar. And a lady came in my bar. You know, the little rich looking preppy women. When she came in the bar, it was kind of like, everybody was looking like, damn, who that? Like, she had that presence about her. Yeah. And I'm behind the bar hustling, because one thing about the bar, you got 5, 10 dudes on the bar, you're going to try to get them all them 5, 10 dudes. Yeah. So, you know, I didn't really see her. Like, I peeped it, but I was dealing with my clientele. Yeah. And it got to a point, again, because my mentality was so dumb back then, she's staring at me. Wow. She just staring at me. And in my head, I'm telling the other bartender, like, what the hell is this lady looking at? Like, who sent her? Like, I'm trying to think, like, who I got beef with. Like, is this the police? Like, dang, I ain't do nothing recently. So, like, that was what I was thinking. And she came to my bar. I was a little nervous. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. Like, the lady just staring at me. And she ain't order a drink, nothing. Like, she literally just talked to me. And she was like, yo, you know how to hustle. You know, the arrogance in me. Hell yeah, I'm from New York. Like,
what's good?
What's up? Like, what's poppin'? You know? Yeah. And she was like, yo, you ever thought about doing real estate? And I was like, I'm from New York, so unless you're a part of that upper class, right, real estate is not a thought. You know? So I'm like, I know real estate is houses, like everybody know that, but what do you mean do real estate? Right. She was just like, think about it, and left.
And that was it.
That was it.
Whoa, so
that was mysterious. It. So she leaves. Wow. I don't think about it, because I'm getting back. I'm right. Back to the money. Right after she left, somebody with a black card was at my bar, so I was like, okay, let me try to hit him with $50 tip or something, you know. But it's so crazy. 2 weeks after that, I had a video shoot. Getting my makeup done. It was so they had glam set up at my people's apartment. Okay. Guess who shows up?
The lady.
The lady.
What?
She's a broker. She was a broker.
Why was she there?
I don't favor. My whole life, if you don't pay attention, girl, favor.
Oh my God.
But again, as I'm going through these trials and tribulations, I don't know. I'm cursing God. I'm this, I'm that. Like, why I'm going through this? Why I'm going through that? And I'm really not knowing that he's building me up for this. Right. Girl, so she was there, and she introduced us. So we had a real conversation this time. And she just was like, I'm a broker. I want you to go to real estate school, get your license, and I want you to work for me. And I was like... So that was so with me, and again, I was walking in complete darkness at this time. Like, I was lit, had about 4 sugar daddies. Yeah. Wasn't paying no bills. Like, I was just outside, getting flown out, traveling the country, just doing shit. So, but I still subconsciously Because again, I was raised in the church. So subconsciously, it was like, all right, this ain't no coincidence.
Right.
Like, let me check this out a little bit, you know.
Wow.
And I signed up for real estate school. And I was bartending at night, and I was in real estate school during the day. But prior to that, my credit business launched at the same time.
Okay.
Favor. Came, you know, bouncing around.
Yeah.
Had all these abandoned leases on my credit, paid 2 people to fix my credit. Nothing happened. This was when the market started shifting. So this was maybe like 2017-ish, 2018. And the owner that I was renting the house from, he was like, listen, I'm about to sell the house. So, you know, they got to give you first right of refusal.
Okay.
Are you going to buy? I'm like, my credit score was like a 5 something. I ain't buying that.
Right.
I was like, no. So I'm like, I just get somewhere to live. I'm walking around with 20, 30,000 in my pocket. I was like, whatever. Girl, can't find nowhere to live. Credit shot.
Oh my
I'm
God.
talking about, like, I'm looking lit on Instagram, but in real life, I'm like damn near almost homeless with my daughters. Wow. So that's what sparked me getting into credit. Cause I was like, yo, I'm gonna just teach myself. I got tired of paying people and nothing was happening, and I got a whole financial literacy career now. So
that's crazy.
Girl, favor. This is why where I'm at now is just more so like, I welcome the storm. Like, what else you got for me, God? Because I know I'm going to get something out of it. Something going to happen. And look, I'm about to start a new business out of the stuff that I just went through. Listen, your circle is so important, because I had them people poisoning my mind and encouraging me to do bad. And that's why I was in 90% of the things that I was into. When I changed my mindset, the things I wanted to be around started changing too. Like, you know, like I had to cut a best friend of 4 years off. Because we just wasn't in the
That's
same...
hard for me, because I'm very relational. So it's like really difficult for me to lose friends.
I'm the opposite. I ain't had no relation, nothing. Like I got through the hardest times in my life by myself. Wow. Just had my kids. So for me, it's the opposite. Like, if you rub me the wrong way, I'm gone. Especially now. Like if your energy wrong, if you just I'm good. I'm out. I don't care what you offering. You feel me? And past couple of weeks, I done been in situations where it's just like, I turn down money, I turn down business. That's good. Like, nah, shorty, I don't even like how you kind of came at me just now. You look crazy, and I just don't want that type of stuff around me, so I'm gonna have to pass. You know, but that's growth, girl. So that's how I got into real estate.
I'm gonna give you a round of applause, girl. Give yourself. Sue done been through it,
girl. And that's the PG version, because it's another part of my life that people would never know, because it's just certain statute of limitations on shit that ain't
they'll never know. Eventually, one day though.
No,
never.
Never.
You want it that way, or that's the way it is.
The law, the law, girl. There's certain things that I did that I would never speak on. Yeah. The stuff that I'm speaking on is because I know I can't get in trouble. It's my story. Right. But,
that's how it is.
That's how it is, girl.
That's crazy.
So, I want to get to I'm in a space where I can guide people through darkness. I can guide people through failure. I can guide people through depression. And it's not even, and the good thing about me, girl, I got the street smarts, because again, I have a degree in psychology, so I know how to mentally deal with people. But I also been through some things. So as a person that's actively sat in therapy, it didn't work for me.
I remember you saying that.
It didn't work for me because you can't hit me with no book shit, lady. What you been through? Let's talk about your life real quick. Like, I'm always flipping stuff.
But at least you tried it.
I tried it. And it
didn't work. Just because you know how to do it.
It's because I know how to do it, but a lot of these people, they're just by the book. Like,
why don't you start that business? Why don't you start an unorthodox way to counsel?
That's gonna be my coaching program.
That's dope.
It's gonna be way bigger than what it is right now. I want to start small because I got my situation. I gotta go sit down and go through that whole shit all over again. Yeah. But listen, I got a whole team of people. Like, we actively, like, I'm talking about been up to 1 o'clock in the morning just putting things together. Yeah, building. But you don't want to just kind of You gotta build your shit, even with the credit in the real estate. You build your name, you get the testimonials, you get the referrals, and then your work in itself is gonna allow you to blow up. So that's what I'm working on now. And you know, I did a poll on my page on Saturday, and it was interesting. So the poll was, what are 3 things that you are experiencing that is holding you back from going to the next level in your life? And why do you follow me?
What was the response?
Structuring my coaching program around those answers because there was a lot of the same answers. So it was income, it was a criminal record.
Okay.
Self-doubt, lack of self-love, lack of discipline, no support. You know, the typical. So now I'm structuring my coaching program because I know what I go through, but I don't know what everybody else is going through. So now I have an idea of, okay, this is how I'm going to provide this type of guidance because everybody had the same answer. Just launched my call center.
Wow.
So that's going to help people who's having issues with income. No background check.
So people call and you give them advice?
No. So a call center, like, so I have like, some of my clients, I have medical companies, I have a fitness company, I have Home Depot, Disney. But like, you know how you might notice something missing out your bank account, you're calling Wells Fargo or T-Mobile, those are call center representatives. Okay. So I have my own call center representatives and I have companies within my call center that need people to work from home to tend to their clientele. Yeah. So I just started that and my coaching program. Wow. So listen, I'm giving back. I'm giving back in a whole different way right now. That's and like awesome. I said, you know, people lack guidance, they lack support, they lack love. You know, so I want to fill the void as much as possible. You know? That's good. So that's what I'm working on.
And so if people want to be in the coaching program, how do they get involved?
So it's actually, so the first date is going to be November 1st. The flyer, I should have the flyer out by this weekend, but you will pretty much just contact me. My email is info@a as in apple -n as in Nancy .solutions. Okay. And it's definitely going to be some spirituality in there because God is about order. So if your life is not in order, this is why your prayers are not getting answered. This is why this is not that, but it comes from self. So if you don't have self-love, self-respect, self-discipline, nothing else in your life is going to work out no matter how hard you try. Wow. But when you have that relationship with Jesus and with God, He's going to provide that to you. So I think a lot of times we get caught up because we're trying to figure it out. Yep. It's not our job to figure it out. That's Leave it in a higher power. Yeah. My Father is Father for a reason, right? When we have kids, what do we have to do? Guide, protect, love. Yeah. You know, it's the same thing. Yeah. So I heard it put one way was like, do what you can and God will do what you can't. Listen, it ain't even do what you can. Go to God with what you can and cannot do and He's going to provide. Because our life is already mapped out. It's already a blueprint. Right. It's just at the same time, we have free will. We have choices. And the life in general is spiritual warfare. Yep. So that conscience you hear that be like, don't do it and no, do it. Spiritual warfare. You gotta pick a side. You gotta pick a side, and you gotta stay strong, even when, you know. And people now is, you know, there's so much things going on in the church. Like, you know, people be like, oh, I don't want to go to church because X, Y, and Z. But that's what's wrong with society today. Everybody's worried about everybody else. You don't go to church to worry about the next person. You go to church to get spiritually fed. Yep. And it depends on the church. So if y'all need a new church, Pastor William Murphy, that's my church, Dream Center of Atlanta. If you're not in Atlanta, you can watch online on Facebook. Just Dream Center of Atlanta. That pastor changed my life. Wow. I got introduced to his church after I went through that traumatizing experience in 2019 with my ex. When I wanted to kill myself, when I was like below the barrel. Wow. You know, and you know how when you like a heavy sinner and you like, I went to his church and you know how you sit in the back with your head down cause you done did some shit the night before and you kind of like, all right, what he talking about? Cause they always know what you did the night before. That's always the sermon, right? But what made me fall in love with him and his church, it was no judgment. He wasn't one of them pastors that if you do this, you're going to hell. Yeah. It was like, listen, some of y'all sitting in here as prostitutes. Some of y'all sitting in here as drug dealers. Some of y'all sitting in here as scammers. And all of that, there's hustle. There's drive in you. So go to God and figure out how you could take those talents to where you don't have to sin to make your money and to be who you are. Because if you got to lose sleep if you gotta watch your back, if you gotta be uneasy and at rest to make your money, that's not of God.
Right.
You know, and even with the people you deal with, if it's not love, if it's not order, that's not of God. And a lot of times it'd be like, oh, why is God allowing this? That's not him allowing that.
That's you.
You know? So listen, that church changed my life.
Wow.
And that sparked the change within me.
I'm excited to see the rest of this journey that you got going on, honey. Like this new Sue, y'all hold her to it, right?
Everybody can't get next to the new Sue unless you need some coaching or you need a job at the call center or you need some real estate or you need some credit and funding, because I do funding too. But well, on a personal aspect, like a lot of my time now is into fulfilling my purpose.
That's so good.
I don't have a desire to, and everybody know I was the hookah whore, excuse my language, but I was outside with the hookah. Like I don't club, I don't smoke hookah, I don't smoke weed. I still drink.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. It says we could drink, but not to get drunk.
Right.
But I'm more so trying to wean myself off the Casamigos. Work in progress. We ain't perfect. No one's perfect. Trying to wean myself off the Casamigos. And into the wine. Because listen, Jesus sat with his disciples and drank wine, right? Cheers to that.
Shout out to the new Sue. Thank you so much for sitting with me, talking to me about how you found your niche with Neish.
Yes,
I'm looking forward, y'all. We got to hold her to it. Like, she is a changed woman. And we have to make sure she stays changed and new. We like this new Sue.
We like the
Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. Yes, I'm going to continue to watch you and see you flourish in these new things that you have going on. And yeah, I'll be watching you on Instagram, girl. Thanks for coming on. Peace.